And we're live.
We are live. Welcome. We are back again. Really ain't got nothing to talk about today, guys. We're really just here to hang out. And we'll do a little bit of speculating. So let's get into it, man. This is Total Speculation, that one NFL show on that one NFL channel on YouTube. I'm that one NFL guy. With me, you already know, we got our very own McLovin. Knipe. One word, no spaces. And man, the biggest news of the week. We're in the dead zone right now, so it's not really popping, but I tell you what, Red Lobster's dead. I don't know if you know this, but these boys filed bankruptcy. They are giving up, throwing in the towel. And for me, as somebody that has eaten a lot of Red Lobster, okay, I don't know if you remember, but during our time in the Army, they actually used to do the endless shrimp.
Yeah.
And Steven and I went to that multiple times. I think you came as well quite a few times. Even with the unlimited shrimp, I tell you what, good fucking riddance. I am glad that these guys are done because let me tell you, okay, the last 5 years, this place has just turned into a complete freaking dump, okay? They can't get anything right. Anytime I've ever placed an order here, which isn't very often because every time they teach me again and again why I should not be ordering Red Lobster. This place, trash, absolute trash, good riddance. One of the best news of the week. I think we can all agree Red Lobster being done is great news for America. We are a stronger America without them. Okay. That was the biggest news of the week, all right? Now, we just got a couple of other things to talk about, and then we're just going to get into some rankings. We're just going to have a little fun with it, all right? One thing I just wanted to throw out here is T. Higgins still hasn't signed his franchise tender. All right. The Bengals say they're not trading him, but this man, he ain't signing, which means he ain't coming because you can't fine him if he doesn't sign the franchise tag tender. Now, I'm just interested to see how this plays out because we've seen things like this in the past. Cornerback from Carolina, Josh Norman, after he had like his breakout year, didn't sign his franchise tender late in the game. And the Panthers ended up just cutting him. Or not really cutting him, just letting him go, just dropping the whole thing. He became a free agent really late in the period. I don't imagine that's what's going to happen here, but it's just a situation worth monitoring because they say they're not going to trade him, but if he doesn't sign and he's not going to practice, you never know what can happen from there, okay? And then the national media finally catching up. I kind of touched on this last week, but this is my guy, okay? So we're going to talk about it, all right? Trevor Lawrence is expected to sign a contract for over $50 million a year. And there is a small portion of Jaguars fans that are bitching about it. And I tell you what, I probably didn't want him to sign this contract at the beginning of the offseason. But, you know, as the offseason goes on and you really reflect on what happened, I'll tell you what, I'm actually pretty okay with it because you know why? Because that's where the market is, okay? You're not going to find anybody better. And I actually have something to show the world. But can I go ahead first? Because I know you're going to tear this apart. So tell me why Trevor Lawrence doesn't deserve this contract because I know that's your opinion. So go ahead. Before I even show what I want to show, I want you to go ahead and get your harsh feelings out so that I can try to school you here. Okay, so go ahead.
I mean, you know, I've thought Trevor Lawrence is pretty much overrated since he was drafted. I thought that he had too much hype. Like the next Andrew Luck, I was like, okay, dude, please, you like that just doesn't happen. The guys like that don't come along that often, and like. Aside from beating a team that always chokes in the playoffs, like what's the accomplishment list? I'll wait on like what Trevor Lawrence has done and who he's beaten and like what he's not clutch, dude. Like he doesn't like some guys just don't have that in their bones. Like some guys are just not built for championship football. And I'm sorry, but Trevor, like I told you, the way he carries himself, his attitude, like I would never. You're tripping, dude. I would much rather take a shot in the dark because. I mean, at least then I know I'm going to – dude, I want a gamer, dog. I don't care about any of this feelings garbage or because he was your first overall fucking pick. So fucking what? Throw the goddamn pick number out the window. The guy is not at football. He's not. You're never going to win with him. You're not. And you need to accept that. You need to accept that there's 4 quarterbacks in your conference that are better. And until you get somebody better, you can't beat the guy who's there. You know what I mean? Like you're settling for a playoff berth because you're a Jaguars fan.
And no, I'm sorry. I strongly disagree.
No, and I'm sorry.
You right there.
Dude, I'm sorry, but it's true. You need to move on from Trevor Lawrence. It needs that, like, yeah, sure, he'll get you a winning season here and there, and you'll go to the playoffs. You're not beating the four guys I can think of off without even using my head, like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. I mean, I know you
So
guys
do you not think Jared Goff could beat those people?
huh?
Do you think Jared Goff could beat those people? Should the
Could be-
Lions move on from Jared Goff?
I mean, I think he at least has the ceiling of reaching a Super Bowl way more than Trevor Lawrence does. Yeah, I think he's.
Okay.
I mean, he at
Well,
least
that's
has an
interesting
attitude
because
he has a way he carries himself in a better way, and he just has that gene in him that's a little more like X factory. But he's like at the borderline. But honestly, I would kind of feel silly about because I mean, who are you gonna be? He's not better than Jalen Hurts in my opinion. I know Goff has been nice, but I mean, I would rather have Jalen Hurts if I'm a GM.
he was better than Jalen Hurts last year.
If you were a GM, you'd rather have Goff over Hurts. Come on. And
I mean, for 1 year, forever, or like, what are we asking here? Like for next year, like, I think it's situational. I really do because listen, you can make an argument that Hurts' best year was because he had Shane Steichen, and Shane Steichen is an awesome play caller. And as soon as they got a new play caller, Jalen Hurts wasn't as good. He was back to like he was his rookie year. So I just think that there's a lot of variables here, and I think that you're counting Trevor Lawrence out based on a few years. And it's like, first of all, my man survived the Urban Meyer year. Okay. Second year, first half of the season, I get it. It wasn't great. Second half of the season, fucking balled. Got an MVP vote that year, mind you. Okay. On top of that, you say he's not clutch. Okay. I mean, my man came back from like 28 to 0.
Again,
okay?
hold on.
So,
stop with that, dude. It was against the Chargers. Do it against somebody that's
so what? That's a difficult task
everybody
to
does
do.
that to the Chargers. Everybody does that.
Everybody does that to the Chargers. Everybody
Dude,
comes
you
back
know
from
that
28-0.
You know the Chargers are known for just flopping in critical in critical games. They're known to be choke
But
artists.
they still did it. We almost beat the freaking Chiefs. You say we can't beat anybody. Josh Allen hasn't beat Trevor Lawrence one time, okay? And listen, I understand that he didn't make that jump that we wanted him to last year, but the first half of the season he was balling. And then he had a shit ton of injuries, and then it just went downhill. But let me also show you something, because I came across this video yesterday, and I was like, God, this is just insane. The amount of just dropped passes from the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, my man's stats would have looked like that third-year jump. This is just all of them from this year. Okay, look at all these touchdowns right here. 1, 2. Most of them are Calvin Ridley. 3, Zay Jones walking out of the back of the end zone, even though he had plenty of room to toe tap his second foot. 4, like, dude, this whole video is just all these drops and all these miscued situations with very catchable footballs. So I'm sorry. And like his PFF rankings are up there. He always hits those tight windows. He's not a check down Charlie at all. My man is always looking downfield. I couldn't disagree with you more. I really think that Trevor Lawrence is bound to break out. Maybe it's been a little slower than expected, but I look at Jared Goff and I'm like, this same thing is going to happen to Trevor Lawrence, because Jared Goff broke out later in his career. I'm not about to give up Trevor Lawrence for a fucking flyer on like a 15% hit rate on QBs in the NFL draft. Can't do it. Won't do it. Give him his $50 million, because if you don't give him it this year, you're giving it to him next year, and it's going to be $60 million, because that is just how the shit is going. It's just going to keep going up, so you might as well lock it in early. And I'm not saying to rip up the contract. We still want to play with those low salary cap hit numbers. We're just going to give him the extension. We're just going to go ahead and tack it on so that we know we got our quarterback here, because you're not going to find anybody better. I mean, look at all these drops. So my man could have had like 35 touchdowns if it wasn't for all these fucking drops right here. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. What do you want him to do? You want him to throw the ball and catch the fucking ball? I mean, the offensive line couldn't give him any fucking protection this year. My man had like a broken ankle, broken shoulder. Like, he's just fucking dragging his body back out there on fucking painkillers. Like, yeah, obviously he wasn't playing as well. And it wasn't just his fault. The center couldn't block anybody, man. I mean, like, when you look at the amount of touchdowns that this cost us, like, it's just nuts. It's nuts. The amount that the people around him have failed Trevor Lawrence. I'm not ruling him out. I just can't do it.
All right, so I got a question then. So let's say he's fantastic, or not fantastic. Let's just say he's passable, and you want to give him this contract. At what point does it become we need a new quarterback? I'm just curious, from you. Let's say he brings you to the playoffs 2 out of the next 4 years. One of them you get to the championship. you know,
I mean,
again,
it's all situational. Like, is the offense fucking scoring mad points and the defense is sucking ass? Like it doesn't. It's not like one specific benchmark because I mean, Matt Stafford didn't consistently get Detroit to the playoffs. Was that his fault? Because since he's been with the Rams, all he's done is fucking balled.
yeah.
So I mean, it just
But
depends,
I'm
man.
just saying,
It
like,
just
the
depends. But I don't think that he's done nearly enough to talk about replacing him. I mean, you're not going to get anybody better. That's the thing. Like, if you go fucking draft somebody, I guarantee you're not getting somebody better than Trevor Lawrence.
potentially.
I mean, you're just throwing darts. You're literally throwing darts. It's not. I mean, come on, man. Especially if you're not going to be like a top 5 pick. I mean, what are we going to draft somebody like Bo Nix and just hope that it's going to fucking work out? Like, give me a break, man. Give him the contract and we'll see what fucking happens. But I tell you what, my boy's out there working. All right. And I can always respect a guy that's out there working. Okay. So, end of that. You obviously disagree with me. I'll let you touch the quarterback rankings and I'm going to fucking rip them apart once we get to that point. But for today, we're going to do the defensive rankings. All right. That's all the news stories, really, because like I said, it is fucking dead. All the other news I don't care about. We're not going to talk about. So let's move on to some defensive rankings, okay? And then we'll get the hell out of here. It's not going to be a long show because we don't want to hang out with y'all that much, all right? Knife's already pissing me off, so we got to speed this up. All right, let's start with the edge rushers. This basically is the quarterback of the defense. I mean, if you got fucking beast pass rush, chances are you're probably winning football games, okay? And this is where I got my rankings. I tried to be as unbiased as possible, all right? My top 5, I'll just go ahead. I'm not sure if you can see tonight, but I'll go ahead and just like lay out. Huh?
I can.
Okay. Yeah. So my top 5, I'll just go 5 and then 6 through 10. I'm going TJ Watt at 1, Myles Garrett at 2, Micah Parsons at 3, Nick Bosa at 4, and Max Crosby at 5. Okay. Listen, I feel like all of these guys are a tier. Like, to me, they are a tier. They're very close. I don't think that number 1, TJ Watt, is like extremely far away from Max Crosby. I think that these guys are all pretty close in there, but I put TJ at the top because he's been the most consistent. I mean, and TJ is out there, he's going to change the game. He just is, man. Myles Garrett, probably the best physical specimen on this list. I'd say that Micah Parsons has got the most finesse. Nick Bosa is just a monster with his hands. And then Max Crosby, I don't even know what to say. This guy is just a scary dude. So, you got any issues with this top 5?
I mean, I love it. I mean, Bosa didn't play like a top 4 last year. That was really upsetting. I mean,
You're right. He didn't. But I take into account the fact that there was a holdout, and it is tough to get that many. I mean, like I didn't feel like I could drop him below. Like I felt like I couldn't put Trey Hendrickson or Hassan Reddick or Josh Allen because Hassan Reddick would be, if I was gonna. Hassan Reddick has been pretty consistent, but Nick Bosa is younger, and I just felt like the potential, like he can get you 20 sacks in a year.
yeah.
So
Well,
with the ceiling of him, and he's been pretty consistent. I mean, he's had over 10, I think, every year that he wasn't hurt, if I'm not mistaken, or really close to that. So
no, it's just when you're used to seeing a guy be like close to TJ Watt and Myles Garrett type level, like you want to continually see that. You know, you want to see your guy do well. And he just didn't jump off. Like, dude, he usually jumps off the screen like how the other guys do, you know? And like Micah Parsons and Max Crosby, like those guys are obviously disruptors of every given play for the most part.
So it sounds like you'd put Max Crosby above Nick Bosa.
Yeah, I probably would.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just because Nick didn't earn it, like you got to keep. Like, I'm sorry, but and Max also, dude, Max never misses a play, dog. I love that. Like that's awesome, man. Like if that guy's on my team, I'm rooting for that guy hard. That guy's fucking cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I think that this whole top 5, I had a tough time putting them anywhere because they're just so tight. They're just so tight to me. Like, it's not that big. I could see any of these guys leading the NFL in sacks next year, honestly. I think Max Crosby would probably be the least likely because but he adds so much to the run defense as well, and you have to take that into account. But that's really why I got Max at 5 because he would be the least likely to me out of this group of 5 to lead the NFL in sacks. But I do think he plays better run defense than some of the guys that are above him. But moving on to 6 through 10, I got Trey Hendrickson at 6. And that is a little bit of recency bias, I will admit, because I just feel like he's had some baller years the last couple of years. Then Hassan Reddick, really for the consistency again. I mean, like, I feel like he's pretty underrated. Like what he was getting paid, people kind of overlook him. I mean, he went from Arizona to the Panthers to the Eagles, now on the Jets, and he just keeps getting these double-digit sack seasons. And at one point, somebody on the Eagles like kind of ripped him. I forgot who it was, but they said like he's always chasing sacks. I'm like, ain't that his fucking job?
Yeah,
okay. I mean, shit, is that really an issue? Like that's his number one priority? I understand that he's not the greatest in the run game, but the consistency in the pass rush, I got to put him in the top 10. And then you already know I got my boy Josh Allen at 8. The real Josh Allen. Finally having a huge breakout year last year. I will admit that Josh Allen hasn't been as consistent as some of the other guys on this list, but his pressure numbers have always been there. The real issue is that we didn't have anybody else to take any heat off him early in his career. And we finally have another guy with Travon Walker and now Eric Armstead as well. That frees it up for Josh Allen. And I expect him to just continue, maybe not the 18.5 sacks that he had last year, but I see him as somebody that's going to get you 12 plus at least. Probably, if I had to put a number on it this year, I would guesstimate like 14.5 this year, 14.5 to 16. But I expect him to be that kind of dude. Danielle Hunter's been a little bit more consistent with him. I got him and Aiden Hutchinson behind him. But with Danielle Hunter, he's getting older, okay, for one. And I just think that Josh Allen, his run defense is phenomenal. He's like Max Crosby. Like, if you got him out there on the run, trust me, you are good. And we were running the 3-4 last year, which we're going to switch back to a 4-3 with this new Ryan Nielsen defense. But even at the 3-4, okay, he's not rushing the passer every play. And when they have him out in coverage, my man balls. Anything Josh Allen does, he balls. So that's why I got him above Danielle Hunter. A little bit of recency bias, but I just expect him to stay at that level because that dude is a grinder. I mean, he is a lunch pail guy, somebody that is not going to change because of the money. He got the bag this offseason, and I'm happy for him because he definitely deserved it. But Danielle Hunter, also great player now on the Texans, pisses me off that they got him, but his consistency gets him in the top 10 for me. He is getting up there in age, but I mean, pass rushers tend to play later, and they're still pretty productive when they're good ones. So I'd expect that to still continue at least for the next couple of years with Danielle Hunter. And then at 10, I got Aiden Hutchinson. He's been great, man. He really has, but he's still young. Okay. So that's really a knock that I kind of have there. And he's really good, but I don't know, man. I mean, I just don't feel like, honestly, at that 9-10 spot, I mean, I felt like there was a lot of people I could have put in there. There's quite a few people I probably snubbed that you could make an argument deserves to be in the top 10, but this is what I got. You got any issue with my 6 through 10 here?
No, actually, I'm glad someone actually brought up Trey Hendrickson because I feel like he's awesome and he just doesn't get talked about really.
Yeah, no, he's very underrated.
Yeah.
He kind of he's another guy that kind of came on later in his career because he played for the Saints, was a good player, but not a great player. And then when he went to the Bengals, his pass rushing just really took it to the next level, and he's just been dominant over there.
Yeah, no, I think he stands out when the Bengals games are on for sure. And I'll give you kudos to Josh Allen. Good job. That guy, I mean,
Josh Allen.
I like him more than Trevor Lawrence, so I'll give him some love. And let's see. I mean, yeah, I can't think of all the edges right now, but I think that makes sense that, you can go at kind of almost anywhere 9 or 10. But, I think those two are appropriate for right there.
Yeah, I thought about putting Khalil Mack in here, but I don't know. My issue with Mack is he's hot and then he's cold. Like, he'll get like 5 sacks in a game. Like, I feel like that's happened to him like multiple times. And then it's like, but then he'll total like 12. So then it's like, okay, but you got 5 in one game. So you just like whipped one guy's ass this year. So that's kind of what kept him out for me. But I'm sure that I got some snubs here. Listen, I don't pretend to be a defensive guru. I really look at defenses holistically. Rarely, it's hard for me to break down like a good player on a bad defense. So I definitely could be snubbing somebody here, but this is my top 10, so whatever. And then we're moving on to defensive tackle rankings, which, first of all of these guys must be pumped now that Aaron Donald is gone, because now, like, there was no disputing. Like, Aaron Donald, he never was not going to be one. I mean, come on. Now that he's moved down, Chris Jones is still now obviously the clear-cut one, but I don't think the gap is as far as it was with Aaron Donald. For my top 5, I got Chris Jones, Quentin Williams, Jeffrey Simmons, Derek Brown, and Cameron Hayward. Let's just go ahead and let you got any comments on those? Anything?
No, I do really just like watching. I like watching Chris Jones and Quentin Williams play football. Man, those guys are cool. They kick some ass on the field for sure. I don't know. The other guys are not as. I think those two stand out. I feel like they're in a tier of their own in this list. I feel like it's 1 and 2, and then the rest of the field.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I actually would say Chris Jones is on his own tier. I do kind of feel like there's a gap between him and the next guy. Yeah, I do. And I like Quentin Williams a lot, but I don't know. I think Jeffrey Simmons and Derek Brown, both of them, I think they're at his level, especially Jeffrey Simmons, man. I'm going to be honest with you. It was tough for me to not put Jeffrey Simmons at 2, but he kind of had a little bit of a down year last year. But I've seen him literally take over games before. Like, I mean, I hate the fact that he's on the Titans, but he is a fucking game wrecker. Like, no fucking doubt about it. And Derek Brown, my man is a defensive tackle, had 100 tackles last year. That is insane. That is like linebacker numbers. That's crazy. So just wild. Cameron Hayward, he's only going down on the list because of injury as well, which is, I mean, like he was hurt most of last year, and I still felt like I had to put him in the top 5 because my man has been consistent. He's like 34 years old. He's coming to the end, but I think he's going to have at least one more really good year because this is kind of a little bit of a projection, kind of my rankings for this year coming up. But yeah, I feel like 6 through 10 is going to get a little more debatable, but I think most people would agree. Some people probably put Dexter Lawrence above a few of these defensive tackles I got in here, but yeah, my 6 through 10, Dexter Lawrence, Christian Wilkins, DeForest Buckner, Vita Vea, which I think would stir some controversy, and then Justin Matabuke of the Ravens. But most of my justification for this, okay, Matabuke, this is really his first breakout year. I mean, he had a stellar pass rush year. Dude has just balled last year, but it was still just 1 year, okay? Vita Vea at 9, I feel like a lot of people would be like, why are you putting him in the top 10? Dude is huge, okay? Buddy could eat the offensive lineman in front of him in almost 90% of scenarios. I know that he's not a sack getter, but dude is a massive run stuffer, never gets pushed back. I'm sorry. I got a soft spot for that. I'm putting him in there. I don't give a shit about his sack numbers, okay? Guy is huge, all right? I'd pay him the bag 3 times over again because that dude is going to be a solid starter for you. DeForest Buckner, just a consistent monster, okay? Since he's been in the league, guy has been a beast. And then Christian Wilkins, also the last few years, just great. Dolphins are crazy for letting that man walk. That's all I got to say about that. Any issues with my 6 through 10?
No, I don't know why you thought it'd be an issue with Vita Vea, or maybe not an issue. You said some controversy, but I think that's a great choice. But yeah,
I just think there's like quite a few people that others would like. When I looked, because obviously I take somebody else's rankings and I just look like, because it'll be like the top like 40 players or whatever, and then I kind of just like pick them out. And like Vita Vea, I think was at like 20 on the PFF list. Nice. And I was like, nah.
Yeah, no, he's a difference maker, man. You got to have those guys. And yeah, I mean, I love me some Buckner. Like that guy's awesome too. So glad to see him on the list, my boy. I wish we would have paid him instead of Armstead. I love Armstead too.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's tough with like defensive tackle rankings because like it's not like that's a position that I'm really noticing all the time. Like there could be a guy that's like getting a lot of push. He's not getting sacks, but he's getting a lot of push and stuff and runs, and you're just not noticing. So that's a tough position, but that's where I put mine at. This one I'm going to feel a little bit more passionate.
Wow.
Okay, because what's your fucking deal?
Fucking serious? You think that Fred's not the top of the top? Are we serious now?
I got him at 2, okay? I got him at 2, all right? The top 5. I'm sorry. I'm putting Roquan Smith number 1. Roquan Smith has been a freaking monster since he's got to Baltimore. Warner. I know he has, but dude, Roquan, I just feel like he took that defense from good and immediately made them great. I'm sorry. I got to give it to Roquan Smith. I think that he is a phenomenal player right now, playing at the top prime of his game. I know Fred Warner is really good. I'm not saying, listen, if I was doing tiers, those 2 would be the first tier. It'd be those guys before the next 3. But I do give the nod to Roquan. I just do. I'm sorry. Okay. I like Fred Warner a lot, but Roquan Smith is getting the nod. Now, the part that I'm really passionate about here, okay? Demario Davis, listen, he's getting older, probably getting towards the end of his elite playing days, I would assume. But I got to leave him there because my man is extremely productive year over year over year. Pass coverage, stuff in the run. Whenever they ask him to rush the passer, he does a good job there too. Now, number 4, okay, I'm putting him here. Foye fucking Oluokun, all right? The disrespect that comes from rankings linebackers, Foye Oluokun is always ranked like the earliest I've seen him is like 17. And that is so fucking disrespectful. My man has led the league in tackling for like 3 years. Okay. He's not a splashy player, but always defends the run well. Great pass coverage linebacker. I mean, and he's a fucking leader, dude. He understands everything. Like, there's nothing I could ask for more out of a middle linebacker than Foye Oluokun. And then Matt Milano at 5. The only reason I even have Milano, because Milano would be at 3, other than the fact that he got hurt this year. But Matt Milano is a freaking monster for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, he is a splash player, like a lot of splash plays, but also consistent on every down basis. Foye Oluokun doesn't have the splash monster ability. I only have him above Matt Milano because Matt Milano is coming off of an injury-riddled year. So that's the only reason for that. But all of those guys, great backers. Obviously, you have a problem with Fred Warner. Go ahead and make your case for Fred Warner at 1 over Roquan.
I mean, you can say Roquan made a difference for the Bears, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was when they switched the coordinators or the coordinating job back to Eberflus that defense actually changed. And they also added another piece from the Commanders who made a difference as well. But dude, Fred Warner
is on the Ravens.
Watching football, man, like Fred Warner, after I was saying it, dude, like, you know how much football we watch. We watch every damn snap that we can, right? And so, I mean, just watching the skill level, like, dude, Fred is it, dude. Fred's the best linebacker in the league. I won't be told otherwise. I mean, that's fine that you have him there, but I won't be told otherwise. It's like, my boy is the top. And Roquan's awesome. It's not taking anything away from Roquan. But Fred sets the standard for what a middle linebacker should be. And Foye Oluokun, I like that pick too. He's super Mr. Dependable. I'll give you a little kudos there for your boy, your Jag. And yeah, I agree with you on Demario Davis too. Like, he's been consistent his whole damn career. Like, that's a guy you love on your team too. But love the Oluokun pick because you're right. He has, is it really 3 years in a row he's led the league in tackling? Because I always feel like I see him.
I think he was second this year, but the 2 years prior he was.
He's always in the top 3 basically.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, and so Mr. Consistent, like, who doesn't love a dependable, battering ram for your defense? Like, I don't need him to be flashy. I don't need him to be game changing always. But like, if you're just doing your job, like, he's a Bill Belichick type of defender. Like, just do your job. He does it well. No complaining. Never in the media. Just a professional. Like, that's what I like. So I would love to have Foye on my team too. But yeah, and then keep going to your 6 through 10, even though you got 1 through 2 wrong.
All right, 6 through 10, and number six pains me so much. But Quincy Williams, okay, coming off the best year of his career, all-pro player. The Jaguars drafted this fucking guy. The Jaguars drafted this guy, and we cut him. 3rd-round pick out of a small school. Nobody had heard of him. He wasn't even on draft boards. Somehow we heard of him. Other teams heard of him too, because it was reported later that there was a few teams that were going to take him after, because everybody was kind of like, who is this guy? But didn't pan out in Jacksonville. We had a lot of issues. It wasn't him. It was us. Trust me. It was us. Goes over to the Jets and just balls, man, with his brother, by the way, Quinnen Williams, which is kind of crazy. But regardless, all-pro last year. It's a little bit recency bias because, I mean, he's been good since he got there, but last year was like that breakout year. And he does have C.J. Mosley next to him, so that was also helpful. But got Dre Greenlaw right behind him, C.J. Mosley. Ernest Jones of the Rams, man. I mean, that's a guy that has been on the come up fast. And then Nick Bolton of the Chiefs. I don't really have too much to say about these guys. Honestly, the margin was thin here. I felt like from 8 to like 15, I felt like I could have put any of those guys in there. But this is my 10. You got any issue with it?
No, man. I like that one. I think you did great on 6 through 10. You guys did.
All right, we'll slide over to a funner position, the cornerbacks, okay? And listen, as a Jaguars fan, again, it pains me, but sometimes you just try to put your bias to the side. And I'm putting Jalen Ramsey at 1 still, okay? My man is still playing at the top of his game. He did have some injury concern last year, but when he came back, he was back. Okay, my man is consistent, always top 5 corner every year, and I expect him to have a huge year for Miami this year. I'm keeping him at 1. Sauce Gardner at 2. It's flipping a coin. Okay, if I was doing a tier, this would be the tier right here, the first 2, Sauce and Jalen. But I don't know. I just feel like Jalen has done it longer, and I just got to give him the credit there. L'Jarius Sneed, recency bias a little bit there because I just feel like the year he had last year was just so phenomenal, man. Him and Trent McDuffie, they were just beasts. I got both of them in the top 5 here. Jalen Johnson as well, coming off of a stellar year. Do you have any issues with this top 5? I mean, I honestly feel like the top 10, it's pretty freaking close. Like 3 through 10, I mean, I felt like I was kind of just like threading needles, honestly.
Yeah,
but
I think you're right because I mean, the way I look at it right now is DaRon Bland at 3, and
I can understand that. I mean, the amount of interceptions that he had was just crazy, like nuts. Yeah. And dude, you know what's funny to think about is like this year the Cowboys are going to have DaRon Bland on one side and Trayvon Diggs on the other side, like the most home run hitting corners. But that's why I don't have DaRon Bland in the top 5 because he gave up a good bit of yards and good bit of catches. And so it wasn't like he was a lockdown corner. He just made a lot of plays and got a lot of interceptions.
Yeah, I'll take that on my team all the time. You can go and give yourself up a touchdown or 2 every other game if you're.
But it wasn't a touchdown or 2, man. I mean, in the playoffs, he gave up like 132 yards and like 2 touchdowns.
I didn't know it was that bad, but
I mean, there was times where he definitely gave up a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, because dude, you know how hard it is for a corner to ever repeat what he just pulled off. Like, I'm gonna give him the respect. I'll give him the respect for at least this year until he like gives us, 3 picks on the year and one's returned for a touchdown. And everyone's like, who the fuck cares about DaRon Bland? You know what I mean? Like, but until that time, he's earned himself a high ranking. I think he should be 3.
And I completely understand that, but like I said. That's the reason I didn't put him in there because this is kind of my projection for next year. And I just think it's unlikely that he's going to be able to repeat anything even close. Like if he gets 5 interceptions, I'd be like, that is really good. That is really freaking good. But he is not going to get anywhere close to the amount of interceptions he had last year. Should have been the defensive player of the year last year. Got snubbed like a motherfucker. But yeah, I put my top 5 based on the guys that I felt like were very shut down. And honestly, even Patrick Surtain, I felt like you could make an argument that he should be in the top 5. But I got him at 6, then DaRon Bland, Denzel Ward, Marshawn Lattimore, and Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey was like pretty far on the list that I was looking at. And I'm sorry, but Marlon Humphrey has been another guy that's just consistent, man. Like year after year, you can count on that guy to shut down the top receiver that you're going up against. So
I feel like my guy deserves to be in there, honestly.
Ward, Tre'Davious Ward.
Yeah, or not Tre'Davious. Yeah. Travarius Ward.
Travarius Ward. Yeah, no, trust me. I mean, like I said, like some of these positions was really like thread needles, man. I mean, like I really considered putting him in there, but I just felt like I couldn't take out the guys that were in there. I really like who you taking out for him, Marlon.
I could remove Marlon easily for him, in my opinion, but that's.
Yeah, it's thread needles, man. Like I said, I mean, I feel like you can definitely make an argument for it. There was probably 10 more corners I could have made an argument putting like 7 through 10. So
yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I just that's kind of how I let it fall.
I will say like the top 5 though. I think Snead and McDuffie, man, like those guys both just like out of nowhere just became just staple household names.
I know, man. That whole like, Chiefs defense did really like everybody on there just turned into a fucking superstar by halfway through the year.
Yeah, but like those 2 in particular, like they played with swag, they upped their game. Like damn, dude, like
lockdown.
It's so hard to become that on a defensive side of the ball because like America, we like offense. You know what I mean? Everyone's usually offense. So
and people get paid and they leave, which is exactly what happened with L'Jarius Sneed. Now he's on the Titans. So lucky me, yeah. All right, but the last position group we're gonna get to today, and then we'll get the hell out of here. The safety rankings. This one was actually the toughest. Can I like, bro? I feel like I could have put 30 different safeties in the top 10. Like, I really do. I don't even know. I don't feel as confident in this position group. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't. But This is what I ended up falling with. All right. I got Kyle Hamilton at 1. My man plays. And and let me just go ahead and make this. Let me go ahead and address who I think was the biggest snubs of my lists. Okay. And it kind of happened on accident because I was going to include him with the safeties, but then he wasn't on the safeties list at all. He was on the corner list, and I know he played nickel, and I was like, do I put him at nickel? Do I put him in safety? But Brian Branch isn't on either of them, and it kind of just happened because I was like, I don't know where to put you. So I feel like I should have done its own nickel position, but then I was like, it's not enough. You're picking between 32. I don't know. I'm sorry, Brian. I'm sorry. That's basically what I'm getting at here. I'm sorry. You probably should have deserved to be on one of them, but I got you on neither of them. I felt like I didn't want to put him in the top 10 on the corners, and I felt like I could have put him in the top 10 on the safeties, but with the safeties, I was like, well, he's not listed here. Maybe he plays corner more than he plays safety, but I don't think that's the case. But either way, whatever. I just left you off. I'm sorry. It got too complicated, and I just said, fuck it. We'll see you next year. Continue to progress. All right. The top 5 for my safety rankings. Got Kyle Hamilton at 1 because he does a lot of like what Brian Branch does, man. Like plays in the nickel, plays corner, plays safety, but he's a beast. I mean, you're just not getting shit on Kyle Hamilton. So I put him at 1. It's very early in his career. I know that I tend to go with the people that have played longer, but just the way he's been balling, man. I mean, I'm leaving him at 1. I expect him to just continue playing like that. The way the Ravens play football, I mean, that defense is not going to let up. Antoine Winfield Jr., now the highest paid safety in the league. Great player. I feel like I don't even know. Like the top 3 are probably a tier, and then the rest of them are 1 tier. I would just stuff everybody in there. But Minkah Fitzpatrick, Honey Badger, Jesse Bates, Derwin James, your guy, Talanoa Hufanga, Justin Simmons, who's still a free agent, and then Budda Baker, who is way down on the rankings. But I'm sorry, Budda Baker just brings that thump and he brings that energy. I'm leaving him in the top 10. And then Xavier McKinnon of the Packers, who recently signed with them from the Giants. I'm just going over all of them here. We're just going to do it at once because I do feel like it's so clumped in. So what are your issues?
Dude, my only issue is, do you remember the time when like Matthew was having trouble getting a team? Like I feel like it was like 6 years ago, and he's always been good. I don't know why he didn't ever have a team, like ever. Like
you just don't value the safety position like that, you know?
Yeah, but he's a dog, man. Like,
I know.
I want a guy like that on your team, dude. Like,
and the Chiefs basically like threw him to the side, just booted him out, and was like, "Get the hell out of here." But yeah, no, he always plays the top of his game. I don't know what the deal is. I don't
understand it. And then also, always looking at Minkah's name, I'm just like, I'm happy for that dude because I've liked him since he was a prospect. I don't really pay attention to college. He has a whole lot. But I remember seeing his highlights as a safety, and it stood out more than the other guys, I guess. So I was like, damn, all right, this guy looks pretty sweet. I was hoping the Niners would get him the year he was drafted, but we didn't. And then the Dolphins got him, right, and then they let him go too, or trade him.
They traded him because he requested a trade.
Yeah, and I was just like, damn, man, like guys like that. I like when guys stay with a team that they got drafted by, but obviously things happen. But yeah, Minkah's awesome, man. I love that guy. I like watching him play football. And then obviously my boy Hufanga, hell yeah. And yeah, Simmons not having a job, fucking weird. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But
dude, like I want
value safeties like that. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, I would love to sign Simmons. Shit.
I mean, if he take the minimum, shit, get his ass. Who cares?
Right.
But yeah, those are my rankings for this week. I'll let you take over the offensive rankings, and then it'll be my turn to rip your lists apart. But listen, guys, that's all we really have for today. Just one last thing that's worth mentioning is, in case you haven't heard, AB files for bankruptcy. Okay, my man does not pay his bills. He owes like $300,000 in bills. And he ain't got no money left. So he's filing for bankruptcy. I'm sure he'll probably be like a 50 Cent type of bankruptcy where he like still has money after the fact. But AB, complete moron. Not surprised at all to hear. I would not be surprised if AB had a job in like, I don't know. I'm not going to put it soon because he made a lot of money. So I'm going to say in like 10 years, I could see AB like working at like
a car wash.
No, not that bad, but like some like Barstool Sports, like just doing stupid shit, like making dumb appearances for like stupid money that isn't even a lot, and like just I don't know. I could just see him doing low level celebrity shit because he has to, not because he wants to.
There was just
But
that too, man. Like, talk about a fall from. I don't know. He was so much fun to watch, dude. And just ever since I'm sorry, but ever since the Burfict hit, he has never been the same.
he hasn't. And I actually got to thinking about this with the bankruptcy. Like, if you're a team like the Carolina Panthers, okay, your receiving core is still shit. All right. You still don't have enough there to really support Bryce Young. And you got plenty of targets to give out. Okay. So keep that in mind. And also the fact that AB is now broke. I mean, is it at least a little bit more appealing to consider the idea of signing AB? Like, my man needs this paycheck. Okay. It's not like he can do whatever because he's rich. Like, no, he just filed bankruptcy. He needs the paycheck. Bryce Young needs a receiver. Like, is that a match made in heaven? Can AB still get you 1,000?
I mean, I'm gonna say for the sake of the human being, no, because he does not need any more hits to the fucking head, dude. Like, he needs to not get tackled hard ever again.
But if they sign him, would he get you 1,000 yards?
Dude, his skill is like it's close to unmatched. He fucking might, dude, because he's Antonio Brown and he's that good.
I think he would. I think he would get you 1,000 yards, especially with the depth chart you have.
Yeah, like if you fed him, can you imagine giving Antonio Brown even like right now, like 12 targets a game? Like, you're telling me he's not going to go like, because what is it? That are still at 17 games now. Like, come on, he's gonna get his numbers enough to get 1,000. Like, give me a break.
That's why if I was the Panthers, I'd have to at least somewhat consider that idea. All right, that's it, you guys. We're out of here. Obviously, it's a dumbass idea, but listen, desperate times call for desperate measures. And if you ask me, I'd say that the Carolina Panthers are in desperate times. All right, that's actually a lot longer than I thought it would be. I thought we'd finish this in 20 minutes, but it ended up being 40 minutes. We'll catch you next week at the offensive rankings. It'll be Knife's list. I'll try my best to tear them apart. So till then, you guys have a great week. We're out of here.